Heyo adventurers, Derek here. Today I will be reviewing my copy of Blades in the Dark. This is not a paid review. I bought this book actually a few years ago. This book's actually pretty beat up. It's not a new book, but I'll be reviewing it now. My channel is not monetized either, so I will leave an affiliate link in the description below. If you buy it using that link, I should get a small commission. So, Blades in the Dark. My book is actually pretty beat up because we've used it in 2 different campaigns. This book is hardcover and stitch-bound. I think it looks pretty solid, like it has taken a beating in my table and I think it's going to be pretty solid for a while. I also should say I had a pretty good experience with customer support because it's by Evil Hat Productions. I don't know if it was here in the book or it was on the website, but it said that if you bought a physical version of the book, you can just email them and they would send you the official PDF. So I tried that and they actually sent me the document. It was pretty good. That was a couple of years ago. I don't know if that policy still works, but back then it was pretty good. Okay, I will be browsing this book page by page with you while I tell you some stories about my games and some stuff about the rules of Blades in the Dark so that you can see all that this book has to offer. Blades in the Dark by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions is a 6 by 9 inches book, very comfortable to hold and read. The style of play for a Blades in the Dark game is a grim dark campaign. The interior art of Blades in the Dark is all in black and white or grayscale, an artistic choice in line with the style of play that Blades in the Dark implies. It is set in the city of Doskvol, a dark and corrupt place that reminded me of Gotham City, but set in a more Victorian Industry Revolution era, but with traces of supernatural activity. The first chapter explains the dice resolution scheme for Blades in the Dark and the structure of play. This is a game for running heists, and it has a very tight structure of play. You have a heist, a job, or as the game calls it, a score. Once that's finished, you go into downtime. After that, you have a section of free play, and then you go to the next score. The book's layout prioritizes presenting information in a clear manner, chapter by chapter. In addition to that, each chapter has a short summary at the end that synthesizes the information presented in that chapter in a single page. We found over the course of 2 different campaigns in Blades in the Dark that finding information in the book was easy to do because the layout is very well done and the page references are also well implemented across chapters. Something else I really liked in the Blades in the Dark book is that there are many examples of play in several chapters across the book. These examples do not only contain the information pertaining to the game, but they also contain example dialogue among the players and the game narrator. Since the game is so different to Dungeons & Dragons and other games I have played, these examples of play were paramount to understanding the system and how it is intended to be played. In this game, each of the players is a ruffian, a criminal, a misfit in Doskvol. There are 7 types. The Cutter is a dangerous and intimidating fighter. The Hound is a sharpshooter or a tracker. The Leech is a saboteur or a technician. The Lurk is the expert infiltrator, a burglar. Next is the Slide. He is a subtle manipulator and a spy. The Spider is a devious mastermind, akin to Lord Varys or Littlefinger in the Game of Thrones series. The last type is the Whisper. He is an arcane adept and a channeler. He is the best suited to interact with the supernatural apparitions in the city of Doskvol. It is not only about the characters though, they create a crew. The book describes 6 different types of crews, from smugglers to assassins to cultists. I thought this was great because depending on the character's choice of crew is the types of missions that they will have. Each type of crew has an advancement sheet. it's a different character sheet but for the crew, and it gives the characters options for what types of missions to get and a series of objectives aligned with the type of crew that they have. In the 2 campaigns that we played, this extra character sheet for the crew was like a central character for my games. My players really liked leveling up the crew and working for the shared upgrades that you can get this way. Chapter 4 covers the score. These are the characters' main missions. The game revolves around the score. Blades in the Dark is unique in how it approaches the score, the heist movie. Once the characters accept a score, they choose a way to start the heist, and then they are dropped right into the action with no planning. This is something that took us a minute to get, because the game revolves around not spending too much time planning. It actually implies you are not making any planning at all. The characters are dropped in the middle of an action scene, and then when push comes to shove, you resolve the planning phases of the heist with flashbacks. So to give a quick example, let's say the first scene is the characters in front of the bank's vault, and the vault door is closed. A character can attempt to lockpick the vault door, or they could get a little stress, which is a mechanic in the game, and invoke a flashback. Here a character would have the freedom to describe something they did before the mission to overcome this challenge. For example, they could roll consort or sway and explain that the previous day they had a couple of beers with the bank's accountant and they finessed the vault code from him. Characters can invoke these flashbacks freely, however, doing so incurs stress points, and if they stress themselves too much, they may acquire a trauma, like being haunted, reckless, or unstable. When a character acquires a trauma, they are taken out of the action for the current score, but they may return for the next one. In addition, the trauma is permanent in the character sheet and cannot be removed. It is a role-playing cue for the players to behave terribly in the future. If they use their trauma to cause trouble, they get extra XP points for advancement. After the score, the characters go into the downtime mode of the game. The characters get paid at the beginning of downtime. The game uses an abstraction of money that they call coin. Characters can use this money to purchase things, or they can save it in their stash. The stash is like a retirement fund. When the character's life of adventure is over and they retire, the epilogue for the character depends on how much money is stashed away. It is implied that the objective of Blades in the Dark is for characters to stash away as much money as they can and then retire. In practice, throughout the 2 campaigns that we played, characters did save some money in their stash, but none of them saved enough coin to have a luxurious retirement when the campaign ended. In the last section of the Blades in the Dark book, there is the City Guide to Doskvol. This last quarter of the book is devoted to explaining the different areas in the city, the story of Doskvol, and its surroundings. As I mentioned before, Doskvol is like Gotham City, but in the Victorian era and with ghosts. Many criminal and trade factions squabble all over the city for power. The characters and their crew are just one more faction trying to scrape a little more power. I really loved the grim-dark style of the illustrations in this section of the book. The city map of Doskvol and the smaller district maps are very detailed. Each of the different districts is described in length. Each of the districts is described in a 2-page spread that includes landmarks and notable people that live in the district. In this game, the characters do not have a character level like in other systems like Dungeons & Dragons. Each character, depending on their class, has access to 12 different skills and a series of special abilities for each of the different classes. Each of these aspects can be leveled up individually. When the characters meet their XP triggers and get XP points, they can level up their skills or they can get new special abilities. In that sense, the characters can level up little by little in a modular way. Not by whole steps as in Dungeons and Dragons, but one skill here, one skill there, one special ability in the next session. It feels natural, and over the course of a campaign, characters become stronger but little by little. We really enjoyed how organic this felt. This last section of the book describes many different factions in depth. Blades in the Dark includes a deep system for tracking different factions and their relationship with the character's crew. This is one section of the game that we mostly ignored. We chose one or two different factions to interact with the crew, and we just kept those. I am not saying the system doesn't work, only that we didn't use it. In the very last section there are many random tables that I just kept coming back to all the time. Tables for streets, building, random people names, and a large series of tables for generating random scores. Blades in the Dark is the perfect game to try if you want to dabble into something that's different from Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder. It is the perfect game if you want a game that revolves around a crew performing criminal scores. It is a game for ruffians and misfits.